I don't care what you think about it. So anyway, so this is National Voter Registration Day, and today we're focused on having the right, the options to verify our voter status. And this organization, which is a nonprofit organization, focus on nonpartisan civic holidays celebrating. That's what they're doing. They're celebrating the holiday because they want our democracy to thrive, right? Again, they're celebrating their 10 years. They've gained a lot of momentum over time, and National Voter Registration Day is normally celebrated the fourth Saturday, the fourth Tuesday of September. And it involves volunteers and organizations from all over the country hitting the streets in a single day. Like they're coordinated, all these outreach opportunities, technology, that media efforts. You see all kind of things, right? And so you want to create awareness of voter registration opportunities so that it reaches tens of thousands of voters who might not otherwise vote. So, according to the US Census from 2020, as many as 1 in 4 Americans are not registered to vote. Every year, millions of Americans say, what happens if you find yourself unable to vote because you missed the registration date, you don't update your registration documents, or you're not sure how to register because sometimes these local entities, these some of these secretaries of state, they actually make it difficult to understand how to vote, which is kind of crazy too, right? So that's what we're doing today. So the holiday is really about get your butt out and register some other people, provide some information, education to our fellow citizens, mobilizing volunteers, and just uniting Americans around this whole, our civic duty, right? So it's just an opportunity to set aside your differences and enjoy the rights and opportunities we all share as Americans. And we want to just celebrate our democracy, right? We want to celebrate our democracy. So that's what this is all about. So what you might want to do is like, well, okay, so what do I do now? Like, what happens now, right? So what happens now is you actually verify your voter status. Here in the state of Georgia, where I live, over the past, I don't know, like 5 or 6 years, um, that the entities, right, have they've actually taken thousands of people off the rolls in pretense that somehow something is wrong. Right? It is crazy. So that's the first thing, is just to verify your voter status, whatever state you might be in. Verify your voter status, and then if you are not registered, don't he and haw about it. You still have time to do it. The election, the midterm election, is November 8th, Tuesday, November 8th. And so this is the time to go ahead and register to vote. Give it a plenty of time to, then you register by your county, the county you live in, the county, right? If you're in the state of Georgia, for sure, with these 59 counties, not the place you used to live, not the place you used to get your mail, but where you get your physical address now, right? So if you have to make some updates to your address, then do that. You have time to do it. And then if you have had a name change, well, you better do that. Show up with one name and you legally have a different one, then it's going to be a conflict. It's going to be an issue. So get all that stuff straight, like right now. So that's what it's meant to be. Is just to create awareness, right? See how I raise my hand, like awareness. So the people who can't see me, I'm raising my hand as if I'm lifting the air up. Just create awareness of your opportunity to participate in the process itself. So some of the things that you want to do, you as you are thinking, okay, so I'm registered or I will be registered, or that kind of thing. It's like, okay, well, what happens next? You want to see what's on the ballot. Like in the state of Georgia, we can actually review a sample ballot ahead of time. Always do that. Always do that, because I don't want to get up. I vote in person, right? So I go in there and just like, oh, I I didn't even know this position was on the ballot. And then you're surprised. You got your surprise face on, like, wow, right? So you want to make sure that you know what's on the ballot ahead of time, so you can do your research. Like I said, go to some of those debates, discover the upcoming debates in your area, so you can get understanding of where these potential elected officials stand on issues that are aligned with your values. So you want to do that. You want to also find your polling location. So this is a thing that always is disappointing and sad to me. I also serve as an election poll worker, right? An election poll worker, and people will people will come into, and I work on election day, not during the early voting period, right? So people will come in on election day to a location. I understand from talking to some of my some people I know, some acquaintances, they do it all over the place. Is they'll show up at a place and say, "Hey, I'm coming in here to vote," and say, "Are you? Oh, so is this your voting location?" Like, I don't know, really. So during the early voting period, your county might offer various locations for you to go and vote, and they will publish it and they will put it out. So go to their website and see during whatever the 2 week early voting period, you might have like several options, several different locations to go and vote. But on your actual election day, which I call the last day to vote, right, which is November 8th, then you can only vote at that location. Go to that location and vote. Now, let me go back. You can actually do some other, if you go to within the state of Georgia anyway, if you go and vote at another polling location on the actual election day, if you do that before like 5 p.m., whatever, go read the law, right? Read it. If you go during certain hours, then your stuff is not going to even count. So go to the correct polling location. Like, well, how do I find that out? Well, what you can do is actually contact your election and registration office at your county level. Like in the state of Georgia, I can only speak from my own experience. In the state of Georgia, of course, you can go to the My Voter page, which is ran and organized by the Georgia Secretary of State, and you will see where your actual polling location is, and go there if you're going to wait until the last day to vote, which would be November 8th, right? Um, okay, I see you said I tried to sign up for to be a poll worker here in Louisiana, but I missed the training date for about a few days. Inquired about it too late. All right, well that's the first part. Is now it's time. Now it's time for you to look out for the next one. I love that. I love being an election poll worker. So what we're going to do now, like really quickly, is for me, there's so much information out there. You're just like, okay, so what are we doing? How does this work? What's the process to vote or not to vote? What should I be doing, right? And what I do is, as opposed to listening to all these different entities, right? Because they're like me, they might be putting out information that's old or incorrect or has not been updated, because the laws are changing very quickly. And now you have to make sure that you understand what that is. So what I do is I go to vote.gov. I go to vote.gov, G-O-V, right? Or either vote.org, O-R-G, so that I get the latest information, which would be the most correct information. A few years ago, there were some entities that were putting out wrong dates and wrong information on purpose so that people would be confused and their vote would not count, right? They were putting out wrong information, wrong dates. They were doing it intentionally. It's like, how mean is that? And oh, by the way, who does that kind of foolishness? So that's what I do. I go to 3 different sites, and sometimes I just call up and talk to the elections and registration office and ask for clarification for dates, for processes or procedures, like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Is this correct? Should I be doing this? Where is the policy for this? What law is that? How do I go do research? I ask all kind of questions, right? And so, but for vote.org, ORG, and vote.gov, whatever state you might be in, you can put your state in because it'll walk you through it. And then you can get help on how to register to vote within your state. You can find voter registration deadlines. You can check your own registration. You can even change your political or party affiliation, and that's on vote.gov. And then you can learn how to get a voter registration card. And then they're like, okay, if you already registered, then you might want to know about voting on election day or voter ID requirements, and then the overall election process. So that's vote.gov, G-O-V. And then vote.org, when you go to their site, like right now, they have this countdown clock, like time left until election day. It's 48 days. As of right now, it's 12 hours and 40 minutes and 32 seconds. And the same thing, you can check your registration, register to vote. You can vote by mail, get election reminders. This is on vote.org. And then you can pledge to register. They've got, they said find early voting locations, locate your polling place, which is really critical, right? You can locate a drop box, and then you can track your ballot application. So if you are not going to vote in person, find out what the rules are in your state, right? So, like again, go to, for us, the Secretary of State, right? The Secretary of State, for all of us, right? Go there, and in the state of Georgia, they have my Georgia voter page, and then you have all this information. You can dig deep into it and find out the process if you're going to vote by mail and not in person, or if you're going to, actually mail your stuff up or go drop it in the box. They locate a drop box, whatever you're going to do. But you have to go ahead and do the research, have a plan for that, all of those things. You want to make sure you have a plan. And you say, well, what's on the ballot, right? Woo, this is a big one right here. This is a big one. Like the governors, the senators, U.S. senators, the U.S. House, like all of Congress, right? And then you have a third of the senators, and in the state of Georgia, one of the two will be on the ballot. And then you have other state executives, at the state level, the state Senate and the state House. And you have state Supreme Court. You have some appellate court judges. You're going to have some school board. You're going to have municipal government. And there's going to be some ballot measures and some local ballot measures. So we're talking about like the attorney general. We're talking about the lieutenant governor, and there's other things. So what are you doing right now? What you want to do is do your research right now. In the state of Georgia, the voter registration deadline is like in person, by mail, or online is October 11th. What does that mean? That means like if you are not registered to vote, then go ahead and you register like right now. Today is National Voter Registration Day. You go ahead and register to vote, and you will be able to participate in this next election, which is November 8th, right? Within your state, within Louisiana, the voter registration deadline might be different. The process might be different. But so that's the whole point. All these different states have different processes. Some states only vote by mail. So whatever your process is, and you need to make sure you understand that. And then the absentee or mail-in ballot request deadline is if you already know you're not going to go in person for whatever reason, then that deadline is October 28th. That is the request. You're going to request it. So think about that, the timeline that takes. You're going to request it. And then, so you're going to say, hey, I want to vote by absentee, by mail, right? Mail-in ballot. So you got to send that to them, right? Whether you're doing it online, by mail, or in person. In person means going into your election registration office or going to the Secretary of State's office, or by mail. You're actually mailing the paper, or you're online, going through the process online, right? So whichever one, you have to request it by October 28th. And that means, okay, so I'm going to request it. Then they're going to mail it to you. They're going to mail it to you. So whatever timeline, how it takes for you to receive it. And then you're going to complete it. You're going to fill out the document and you're going to mail it back. Or you're going to go and put it in the Dropbox, right? So you have to understand the time that it takes to do that. And so so you've requested it by the October 28th, like you should do it today. And then you have to return it. You have to return it by the election date, which is November 8th, right? You have to do that. And then is early voting votable to, is early voting in Georgia available to all voters? Yes. Early voting start and end times for the state of Georgia. And we're talking about in person, right? So early voting begins on October 17th. Then it ends on November 4th. November 4th, right? So October 17th, November 4th is early voting day. And then on election day, like, well, what time can I get up? That's the last day to vote, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And what you want to make sure is you understand your state's particular issues, right? Processes to vote. So go to vote.org, vote.gov, go to one of the other trusted sites that you might have. Talk to your friends and families. What I do is I actually call the elections and registration office. That's who I talk to. I don't want to be talking to anybody else about that. Right? So that's what we're doing today is talking about National Voter Registration Day and then all the various actions and issues around that. So let's just make sure we're clear. With all the things that I do, right? All the titles that I have, one of the things that that I focus on consistently is civic engagement, and that is all politics is local. So right here in my little teeny town, from how these people gonna pick up my trash to road construction through how many of these new companies are going to be liquor stores or how many more what is that Dollar Trees do we need in this little tiny town? So those all those things, and then of course education. What does that look like? Safety, definitely. Some other issues, but so whatever it is that is significant to you, aligned with your values, I just want to tell you, just vote, right? Get yourself prepared, get vote ready, and I don't know. So really, I don't tell people who to vote for, right? That's like none of my business, quite frankly. It's none of my business who you vote for. But it is very important, I believe, that we all participate in the process. In the process, I believe it's important that we participate in the process, right? In the process. So, with that said, National Voter Registration Day is off and kicking, right? It's on and rocking and popping, right? It's happening right now. So make sure you verify your voter status, and then be a civically engaged American and participate in the overall process. Um, with that said, my name is Angela M. Odom, and I'm excited about the possibilities that I might have influenced, encouraged, inspired at least one person to verify their voter status, to make a plan to vote, to make sure that they review the absentee ballot. I'm sorry. They review the sample ballot, not the absentee ballot, the sample ballot ahead of time, that they understand, like, how am I going to get to the polling location? And oh, by the way, where is my polling location? What time does it open? And then, oh, by the way, you can't walk into a polling location with campaign material on your body. That's another thing. Get you kicked out of there. You have to, you have to go and change clothes. So you want to know, like, what time am I going to show up at the polling location? What am I going to wear? How am I going to get there? And then what's on the ballot? Do I have proper ID? Right? So some states have various requirements for IDs, proper IDs. So make sure you have all that straight. And then, oh, by the way, don't go hungry. Don't go having to use the bathroom. So have all of that straight, right? If you're gonna have your own snacks, your own food, all that kind of stuff, because it might be a long process. All right. So make sure you are squared away, and then you might want to, once you have your stuff together, I would just encourage you to vote early, right? Vote early, whether you're doing it, through absentee ballot or in person. Vote early. I love to go on the first day of early voting. I like to go on that very first day because, again, of course, I'm going to serve as an election poll worker, so I need to vote ahead of time anyway. But I love to do that, and I love to take my son with me since he was like a little teeny baby. And now he is an election poll worker also. That's so cool to me. Anyway, so let's get involved and do the right thing and support National Voter Registration Day. So I'm going to ask you right now, do you need any help verifying your voter status? And if your answer is like yes, or you're just like, well, I'm going to tell you based on whatever state you are in, go right now to vote.org or vote.gov and get yourself the right information, right? You can go to either one of those, and it's got a lot of information there. And then, oh, by the way, I also own the domain Register Show Up Vote, like registershowupvote.com. Register, show up, and vote on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook. I know, like I bought the whole domain. I love that. Register, show up, vote. So anyway, you can go, and this. I'm not putting anything crazy or divisive. I just want to put the actual dates, the actual facts, so that I might help some people, encourage some people to be prepared to participate in this process. Okay. Again, I'm not telling you who to vote for, but I do want to help you in the overall process. All right. My name is Angela M. Odom. You all have an amazing day. Again, I'm the founder of the Better You Project and the host of the Better You Leadership Podcast. And today we talked about National Voter Registration Day. And some of you are like, oh my God, we're talking about voting. I don't know if there's anything else I love talking about more, except my son and food and relationships. And, I'm just going kidding. All right, you all take care. Was that not funny? All right, you all take care. Have an amazing day. Booyah.